Oh, hello! Welcome to the Sketch Zone podcast. I'm Carlos Gomez, and welcome to episode 166. 166, where Jack and I will be holding down the fort. Oh, hey, welcome, Jack.
Hi. I'm not used to being the first one called.
I know. It's crazy when we go skeleton crew. It's a little awkward, but it works.
That's okay.
It works. Oh, hey, if you are watching live, go ahead and ask us questions for the year-end episode. Let us know what you guys are doing for the holidays and New Year's. And we're going to be talking about some New Year's resolutions and stuff. So if you're watching live, go ahead and let us know. Or if you're going to be watching this later, go ahead and leave comments below. Let us know what some of your creative New Year's resolutions are going to be. But if you're watching later, you can always use the That's right, Sketch Zone hotline. That's 408 Sketch 8 408 753 8248. International callers, please use 011 408 753 8248. And I wanted to point out that the Sketch Zone hotline takes messages, like text messages kind of thing, and also voice messages. So if you leave us a voice message, we're going to listen to it on air. So now that we got that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into...
Let's go to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe, every day's a good day when you paint. I believe.
This was a tough one.
Hey,
I went to go work on this and I was like, it was challenging.
Yeah, it was. I had a good time doing it, but I know that I've been kind of like we'll talk about that in a little bit, but I was a little rushed, so I can tell in mind that I was a little rushed. But let's take a look at what everyone did as far as a motherly servant frowning film noir style in a castle. So let's take a look at what the nation did. Oh,
Pros Heavy Comics.
Heavy Comics, killing it. Oh, wait. Just when you thought it was only one, boom! We got more. So there was a mess being made. There's a ninja star. Hey, Pros Comics. As if we practiced it. What's going on? Yeah, I really like this one. I like the whole 3-panel thing happening. That's amazing. The drawing of her is pretty cool. What's that?
The line work and coloring is really cool. I like the style. I gotta say, I was scrolling through Pros Heavy Comics feed, and you've improved your drawing skills in like a matter of weeks. Like the amount of advancement like between each piece is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So keep it up. I'm super excited to see more.
Yeah. And what's cool is like, and right now I hope it's all right, Pros, but
we're putting your work out right out there.
Yeah. Yeah, you got 10,000 followers. Damn.
Really inspiration.
Yeah, I agree. Like, this is all really, really tight. It's already solid drawings down here.
Yeah, sure. I didn't mean to imply like, oh, those are bad. It's just you can see the infinite progress just going forward.
Yeah, I remember. I think this was one of his first ones. I'm assuming it's a him, but just to get through my statement, I remember some of the first ones. He says, "Hey, I appreciate it. I've been trying to focus more on storytelling rather than just nice looking, and that's important. That's very important. That's a conversation that we have on the show all the time, and something that I try to, as far as when I'm, hey, John Harrington is here. Hello. I try to do that too, like not just draw. Sometimes you just got to get a drawing out of the way. You know, we can be true to that, but look at the advancements to this one. This one is so good. But yeah, there's storytelling is one thing, like actually putting your character in the middle of an action that helps sell and make it believable. And I think that's what you really did a good job here. You can tell she got herself into some kind of trouble, and she was cleaning and bumped into this, but then bumped into that, and there's a whole big mess. So yeah, great job, buddy. That's really good job. And I just want to see, I want to make sure that pros H comics. So there. Let's see who else chimed in. Oh, this one's mine. Yeah. So they're in a castle, and the servant is frowning because the pet dragon decided to go
poop in the hallway.
Poop poopy doop.
Poo in the hallway.
Yeah.
I like. Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, one of the things that I'm actually happy with is that even with a tight deadline, I was able to get something that looks relatively.
Yeah. Just do it. Do it.
And I'll go out and say even earlier this year I wouldn't have been able to, for as I think it definitely can be better, but I've purposely been forcing myself to include my drawings in way more of the stuff that I've been doing and making. So I'm able to pump things out and make it look, again, can be better, of course, but timeline dictates.
That's all right.
Yeah. And then we have Sketchbook Jack.
Yeah, I don't know. This one just kind of evolved organically.
And those are the cool ones.
I was like, I know I want like some old lady motherly, like what's that show on Hulu? The Handmaidens. I want like
The Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaiden people like hanging out in some film noir like atmospheric lights, and then I don't know, it just kind of evolved. I don't know what it became. Yeah.
That's a message to the audience. We have a bunch of film effects are a nice touch. Yeah, exactly. Those are really cool.
And I wanted to shoot widescreen. Well,
what is that? The anamorphic?
Yeah.
Cool. So that's kind of quick. So let's go ahead and pick a new one. If you guys are watching live, go ahead and help us. We'll give you guys a few seconds, but we're looking for adjective, animal, character, action, style, and location. Jack, do you have one that you want to make sure gets checked?
I'm a little tired of style, so I'm gonna shy away from that. Let's go character.
Okay.
And then you want one?
I like adjective.
Noun. Dude.
Noun.
Landon. Come on, bro.
Style is usually the biggest deterrent for me participating. Yeah, so we're gonna not do style. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna lock it blank. I don't action and character. Okay, cool. So we have adjective, character, action. Oh, and by the way, Landon, thank you for your comments on Artist Alfresco. More on that later. All right, so let's see what happens. How about a lumpy politician smiling?
Jeff Coates needs to chime in on this one. That's all he ever draws nowadays.
All he ever draws. I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is good.
I think it's a good for the year end. You know, it's a good funny. You don't have to draw the obvious. You could.
Yeah, like Pro said, so on the nose. Exactly.
You could. You could pick any lumpy politician.
There's a lot of them.
There are a lot. There are a lot of them. Or we'd even settle for a monarch, a lumpy monarch. That's pretty funny.
That's gonna
that happened.
That's a summary of the year. Yeah, basically.
Let's go up to the canvas here and let's get started. I believe every day's a good day when you paint.
He said, OMG, that's pretty easy. Going to be a lot of lumpy Trumps.
I hope so. I would love our feed to just be filled with funny Trump drawings. That would be
funny. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and post that to Instagram. But while I do that, yeah, so Landon left a message on, okay, so if you guys aren't following me on the social medias, please do so.
Do it now.
I'm creating a lot of different things that are all somewhat related. And Landon left me a really cool message on my other YouTube channel where I do more produced work. And the latest is a project called Artist Alfresco, which is basically, I'm trying to think of, so Northern California, well, California in general is just a really cool spot to live in. There's a lot of really cool, really gorgeous scenery, even between where you and I live. And so I wanted to kind of push artists getting away from their desks and going out and experiencing life, because if you experience life, I'm a firm believer that that would then make your artwork better. And you know, there's folks that are always going to say to a coffee shop or something like that just to get, you know, free life drawing people. So so what I wanted to do is just take and create an example of just like really cool scenery and really cool opportunities that end up happening if you just go outside. Also, so Steve says there's also a great show called Bay Area Backroads. This is a great new take on that type of show. Yeah, yeah. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. Just kind of not only like create something a little bit more production heavy and show off my skills as far as, you know, editing videos and putting in music and blah blah blah, but also using all the footage that I create and telling a story of that one specific location. And so the first 2 episodes are done. The first one was in Sonoma. The second one was a trip that Jack, you and I did together, which was a blast. We went to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico.
Puerto Vallarta.
And yeah, if you go to Artist Alfresco, and we'll have links in the show notes and probably up there somewhere and blah, blah, blah. So, so take a look. Let me know what you think. And if you don't mind, please subscribe to not only here, but to that other YouTube channel. John says, it's been fun to watch, Carlos. I like the last episode when you see the inspiration that you're speed drawing instead of, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's eventually what I want to do with that show is like, I want to go down and hang out with Jack in LA so we can go do some more sightseeing down there and actually have Jack participate a little more. And then I have a couple artist friends up here that I want to hang out with. And so it's kind of like Anthony Bourdain Parts Unknown meets Sketch Zone. And so, yeah. And so if you guys don't mind, please go over there and subscribe over there. And if you're watching here, please subscribe here too. So yeah. Were you able to check out those shows?
Me, yeah. I saw them both. I love them. Especially the one that I'm in.
I might. Yeah, that was a fun trip.
There used to be a show called actually I don't remember if it actually had a name other than, remember Huell Hauser? He was like a California local thing that he would do these it was obviously California specific, but he would do these little like mini docs, and he would find some like weird thing around, all over California. He did a ton in LA. He did just the Bay Area. He did the Central Valley and all that stuff. Kind of wide ranging topics from, food, culture, just tourism and sites. But it was a pretty cool little gem. These remind me of that. They're kind of nice little peeks into the locale, just like a brief. They're good length too.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that, because sometimes these things get a little too big. I wanted to keep it like a nice, 10 minutes is super long. So I want to be right in there, right in like the 5 to 10 minute time frame. Landon said Jack looked pretty worried on that ATV. Yeah, and that's I didn't say anything about that, but I guess it was when we first got to the river, those two guys were like, we don't know, like the guides that we had, we don't know, we shouldn't let you guys do this. And we kind of pushed them to letting us, which is one good reason why I did not send them the video. I didn't tag them at all, because I didn't want their boss to accidentally come across it.
Like, you guys
tell them, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it wasn't necessarily that safe. In that video, you see me going around Matt, and Matt actually ended up getting stuck in the middle of the river on a big ass rock. And so I had to go around him, and the current was pushing me down the river. So I had to fight the ATV, and I was getting yelled at. I'm like, I'm trying. But yeah, that was a good time. So yeah, I have a couple more that you're going to float away. I thought so too.
Can you give a little sneak info into what the next?
Yeah. I think if you watch Instagram at all, you'll know. But if you're watching on YouTube, I just got back a couple weeks ago from Hawaii. We went to Maui. Yeah, Maui. And so that one is cool too, because the Mexico one was awesome, because we were able to go from like super high drone footage to underwater. The one in Hawaii is a lot like that too. And I really like that. And it's cool because it's starting to get more, I know what I want. I know what I'm looking for. I know what equipment to bring. So everything is getting way faster, way easier, way more streamlined. So it's starting to make sense in my brain.
Right. So now you kind of know what's going to work and what's not, right?
Yeah. Yeah. and and I was gonna this is part of like some of the more stuff that we're gonna be talking about in a little bit, but um uh I know what equipment to bring. I know what equipment doesn't work anymore, and I know what equipment maybe landed in the ocean, and I know what other equipment got uh got swept away. So yeah, John, J- John must follow me on Instagram and Facebook. He said, "Cool until you lost your first drone in the ocean." Yeah, it was. Let me tell you that story. Um, I'm trying to post. Okay. Um, and I'm gonna do this whole. Okay, so let me go ahead and just do this spoiler alert thing, I guess. So in the other, on my own YouTube channel, I'm gonna be doing more, um, again, more produced stuff. Like I love Sketch Zone because it gives me that, um, you have to think, you have to be on your feet, you have to be on your toes and figuring out where the conversation is going to go and what are we going to talk about next. And I love being it to interact with the Landons, the Johns, the
Steve,
um who?
the Steve Carrillos.
Yeah, Steve, uh Shiloh, and all those
Coast.
guys. Dave, I love being able to catch up with them, even if it is just reading their text messages and seeing what they're up to for that week. I love that part. But then I also, one of the other things that I really like is being able to record something and actually produce it a little bit more and drop music into it and create, the here, I'm going to start sharing my screen here too. So yeah, being able to have, a little more refined thing. So I'm basically trying to beef up my portfolio. At the end of the
On
day, that's what all of this is.
on that topic, Landon was asking that it looked like it took a long time to edit. What's the average kind of edit time for these?
The first episode was long. It probably took longer than it needed to, probably only because
Well, your first one, I mean.
yeah, it's the first one. I was doing it from a town that I live in. I know, that's amazing. Pros Comics said that skin color's right on target. So that one took a couple months because I was trying to build it. And then I went in and I kept thinking to myself, I need to go back and record this certain thing. And then I need to go back and get better footage of that thing. And so I actually had to cut myself off.
So you were doing a lot of like reshooting for the first one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I guess these new ones that are more trip or location based, you're kind of stuck to the time that you're going to be there. You don't. The first one obviously was nearby, so you had the ability to do that.
Yeah. Like the Mexico one and now the Hawaii one, they're going to be, I mean, I can't like fly back and do more. So it's kind of like when we're there, I'm thinking, okay, I need to shoot, click, 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 go, 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 go here, go there, go everywhere. But at the same time, also, was that all of your footage? Did you use any stock footage? First one was all me. The second one was mostly all me. Um, Jack actually flew the drone for some of the footage. And then like the very first one, the only stock footage that I used was the very first part where the windmill in the
Oh,
western
I
town.
asked about that. I thought maybe that was somewhere up north by you.
Yeah, no. If I knew where I could find that, I could totally do that. But
Right.
I don't know where to find like a deserty kind of um a deserty, whatever, windmill type of situation. Um, so yeah, that's the only one. But that's because again, does the pressure to get good footage make it harder to enjoy the trip? Not for me, only because I like doing that. I like shooting footage. Seriously, no one can hit the like button. Nobody has arms or hands. You all suck. That's my buddy Anu. He's kind of dumb. But no, like for me, I like shooting footage. I like flying the drone. I like thinking of different things. So for example, one of my favorite, if not my favorite transitions was where the guy was making the churros and then the very next that transitioned into, I believe it was Matt underwater. Oh, I love you too, Anu. You're the greatest. So yeah, the transition from the hot grease cooking the churros to Matt scuba diving, like I'm starting to think in transitions now. So I'm moving the camera a certain way so I don't have to do all that much work in Premiere. Like that transition, it was just straight up cutting from one to the next. And then there was another transition that was like up above the water, and then I was bringing the camera down into the water, and then that transitioned. It was like a additive dissolve, I think it was, that just went from the top into the scene with the fish and stuff like that. So I'm trying to do a lot of clever transitions more than just like, oh, here's a swipe and here's a zoom or whatever you want to do. But you know what I want to do.
So like now that now that you've done a couple and you've done a lot of footage and you're learning what works and what doesn't work, like what would you say you're kind of learning in general just about filmmaking, about shooting on site? Like what are some things that maybe before doing a couple of them that you wouldn't have thought of or you didn't know that now you're like, this is the info I know? Or is there like one or two things that maybe you're now I know you said transitions are a big one, but like
patience patience to let your drone access GPS signal, and lanyards. Like when you're doing this stuff,
yeah,
you have to
your losses.
I swear, you have to make sure that your equipment is attached to your body in some way, shape, or form, because otherwise, man, it gets costly. So what you guys don't know is when we were in Mexico, we were at the last day, and the three of us, Jack, Matt, and I, were hanging out. We're in this dark room where they had like these big Aztec gods, and we're doing what's called light writing. So you do a delay shutter, and then you show the camera the little light on. You can use. We were using our cell phones, so we were light writing with our cell phones, and we had Matt posing, and my hand bumped into Matt's elbow, and my phone went flying,
Bam.
landed on the marble floor, and just crashed. And it was such a bad day. And then going to Hawaii, I lost my drone, and then the very next day I lost my GoPro. And yeah, all of that was because I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Well, you live and you learn, I guess.
Yeah. But the cool thing is, if there is anything, did it at least look cool in the long exposure? Yeah, it actually ended up being pretty neat.
Yeah, we got some really cool long exposure stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, and then there was times where like Jack and I we were waiting. There was some sea turtles that we saw that we were gonna try to watch run to the ocean. And while we were waiting for the I guess the scientists, while we were waiting for the marine biologists to release these turtles, what we ended up doing is running out onto the beach and doing a lot of those delay shutter shots, which ended up being super cool too. So yeah, as far as Prosa's, damn, that's a lot of lost stuff. No more nice things for you. Yeah, exactly. But no, like here, so after I lost a couple days after I lost my my GoPro, I ended up getting another one, but it was because we went on a snorkeling tour and blah blah blah, and I needed another GoPro, otherwise the trip was going to be kind of not good. So I got another one, and then I got this bad boy here. So it has a lanyard that goes around your wrist, and the GoPro goes there, and then you just, I mean, I tried it. I took this and I dropped it in the water, and it actually does float. So so that's some of the big lessons. Don't do anything and not have your equipment attached to your body.
It's a good lesson. That's a good one, I would say.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting too, because this year I think I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling.
I don't know. You're not traveling.
I'm going to be going to Tahoe for skiing, which that'll be a cool trip. And I'm trying to get to Chicago sometime this year too.
That'd be a good video.
Yeah. And like when I get home, I'm gonna try to, like, I'll reach out to like Ryan, and then I'm also gonna reach out to Javier Guzman, see if they would be willing to be a Chi-Town baby. That's right. I'm gonna try to go out there and like get a few people to come and hang out so I can get a few episodes done.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you could almost do like different area. Like you could do focus on downtown, and you could do some like cool other suburb or location. I mean, there's so
Right.
many neighborhoods and like areas you could.
Right. And that's also what I'm planning on doing here in California too. So I want to go and hang out with you. And all of this is like, oh look, oh yeah, for the record, Landon, you're invited too. But I want to do some with you down in LA, and my sister down there who started her own photography business. I'm going to hang out with her for a little while, do some photography type of stuff too. And what else? Chicago, Florida. I have some friends in New York that have been chomping at the bit to have me come visit. Atlanta. I have people in Atlanta that want me to swing by. So, and I think
Set up.
I think North Carolina. Yeah, I have a lot of friends all over the place. So the cool thing is going to be like, I have some friends in Des Moines, Iowa, and it'd be cool to see, like, that'd be a neat challenge to see, like, going to somewhere like Des Moines that it's not well known for like mountains or skyscrapers or anything like that. So it'd be cool to see, like, to be able to pull out of Des Moines some of its cool spots.
Yeah.
And learn a little bit.
Yeah, some of these lesser known cities and locations would be really cool.
Yeah, Leslie's in Des Moines. My buddy Steve is in Des Moines. But yeah, like it would actually, yeah, Leslie's a good idea because she makes those cakes that are bomb. So yeah.
So you're posting all this on YouTube.
Yep.
As like a YouTube type channel.
Yeah.
And how are you feeling about YouTube as a distribution platform?
I think it's good for what it is. One of the cool things, and this is a nice tip for everyone that's watching, if you continue to create stuff, there's a lot of people who can't visualize what you're doing or the skills that you have, right? So you can go to all right. Sorry, there was a conversation thing happening in the chat. Where's my Photoshop? Right there. There's a lot of folks that get upset with YouTube because YouTube is still trying to figure out how to make money. Even though there's a lot of people making a lot of money on YouTube, I think YouTube as a company, as a corporation, has yet to figure out how to make the money that they're looking to make, I guess.
Yeah. Kind of weird. They're like
the second largest search engine is YouTube, and they still haven't figured out how to make money off of it. But so like the YouTube creators, they start making their money and they get comfortable doing, they get into their rhythm and they start making money, and then YouTube changes the way that you're paid. And And that's what really pisses them off, the creators off. And I don't know, maybe I'm I've seen behind the curtain, I guess, but we have we have the potential to make money doing what we want. We can create our own content. We can, you can make an animation and host it and literally cost you zero money. Um, but yet when you start making money off of that, then you start to get mad when YouTube is trying to figure out how they're going to make money off of it. So I don't know. I don't know. I think it's fine. I could see if they were like, if YouTube was asking people to make content and and say, oh, it's for the exposure, and meanwhile they're making a whole crap load of money off of it. But that's not really the case.
That's just, yeah. There's a lot of folks that are making a ton of money on YouTube.
Yeah. And I think just the potential to make the money, I think it's worth investigating. No, and I mean, this is all stuff that I would probably end up making anyway. It's just cool for me to be able to go post it on YouTube and have an audience there already,
Right. And there's like people specifically seeking out those types of videos. I mean, there's a lot of people really interested in making those types of videos, but also consuming those types of like mini doc and travel things.
Yeah. I mean, and if you think about it, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of animation companies out there that that go to Instagram and YouTube and all these places to see, if there's any potential projects that are worth following up with, so, and for me, like I've made a couple like cartoon karaoke videos that have turned into like full-on projects, and I've gotten paid off of those. So, so for me, it's kind of like I just, as a content creator, whether I'm making a cartoon, whether I'm making, aren't you guys rich from posting? No, the opposite. Landon said, aren't you guys rich from posting Sketch Zone to YouTube? I'm Googling your net worth right now. Landon, if you find the answer to our net worth, please don't be sad. It's we put on a good show. But yeah, I don't know. I don't get mad at YouTube for trying to figure out how they're making money, how they're going to make money. I kind of thank them for the opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be mad at them for wanting to sustain their business, especially
right.
Given so many people such a fruitful career. It's kind of silly for anyone to be mad at that. I mean, obviously, if they're cutting into your profits, you're going to be upset. But
right.
You could also look at it from the point of view that maybe you've been getting away with a ton of profits, like scot-free for a long time.
Right, and that's just it. Like, I've worked for media companies, and I know how much it costs to. I know how much it costs to have like a streaming server, and just a server in general can get expensive. So I'm just not mad at it. And so, yeah, I mean, it's fine. I like I like YouTube way better than I do Facebook. And even Twitter. Facebook is officially my least favorite. They just keep getting in trouble for making bad. Well, I guess, nah. I guess I can't say that YouTube. I can't say that YouTube is. I can't in one breath say, well, at least YouTube lets me do this and that, and they're trying to figure out how to make money. Meanwhile, Facebook is also trying to make money. They just keep doing it in a very shady way. Yeah, like Pro said, isn't it something crazy like several hundred hours of videos are uploaded every minute to YouTube? They're hosting a lot of junk. Yeah, exactly. So my hope is that, and that's, and that's the hope of my other channel, that I need. So if you guys are watching this, I have like, what is it, like probably 70 something followers on YouTube on the other channel. I need 100. So Landon, I need you to create like 30 more YouTube accounts and start following me so I can get my own custom URL for YouTube.
Is that what they require now? You need just 100?
Yeah. Yeah. So you need that many. You need 100 followers to get a custom URL, and then you need 1,000 followers to qualify to make AdSense money. And I mean, SketchZone doesn't even have that, and we've been doing this for 4 years. So yeah,
so
all that to say, Facebook is shady. At least YouTube gives us the opportunity. Like, if you're making quality content and you're pushing it, I guess, the right way, you could very easily make some pretty good money. And that's one of my, we're going to talk about New Year's resolutions here in a bit, but that's one of my New Year's resolutions, is try to figure out how to be able to make quality content, and possibly, if we can, really push this thing and see if we can't like create content on a full-time basis, or at least, try to figure out how the hell. Landon, yeah, thank you. He said, yeah, I'll get right on those 30 accounts. Yeah, I mean, be able to at least afford to keep SketchZone, to have SketchZone pay for itself. Are you talking about your Carlos Gomez YouTube account? No, that's another one. If you go to artistalfresco.com or even coconutjustice.com, that should bounce you to the YouTube channel. I do have a personal one that I only use, like, that I have a habit of using, but I guess I need to use the Coconut Justice one more regularly. So yeah. So that's one of my resolutions for 2019, is to see how to make this stuff work. Because it's kind of tough to, I would rather create content for us, like creative content type of stuff. But then it's hard because I also have to pay my bills. So I have to run around and look for work, and then I have to do the work, and then I have to chase after people for my money, and blah, 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 blah. And it would be really cool to just be able to create content, build relationships with some of the other creative folks that are out there, and be able to bring value to all of us, to all of our brands. You know, there's folks that watch this show. I want to be able to get way more people to come on the show and share their stories and all that stuff. Carlos just follows himself with all the different accounts. Yeah, basically. I just need 29 more accounts. By the end of this show, I'll do that.
I'm sure they have a funny enough, probably a way of tracking that.
Yeah, probably. Probably. So anyway, yeah, that's one of my goals for 2019 is to create way more creative content, way more produced stuff, and try to like I keep saying, like be able to use both channels to feed other channels, and then like everything that we always talk about wanting to do. I think it's time that we get to that point. We start pushing for that. Everyone on the chat, what are some of your creative New Year's resolutions? Yeah. How about you, Jack? Do you have anything you want to focus on?
2018 was kind of a lot for me, to be honest. I kind of maybe overdid myself. I got a lot of things cooking, a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I want to pull back, but I think I need a little bit of focus and kind of narrow down. I do have a tendency to dabble in a lot of different things, which is good fun, but it tends to create this situation where you got a lot of pots boiling, and that can be really tough to manage. So there are a few creative goals. I've been so immersed with work and a couple of side projects that I'm trying to get off the ground that I haven't had a whole lot of time to mess around with my own stuff, or not my. I mean, it is my own stuff that I'm doing on the side, but my own kind of just personal stretch your arms type of work. And so I do have a couple of ideas I want to do for that, because even though Inktober last year, not this most recent one, but last year really kind of killed me, it was a really good experience, and it's actually had a lot of positive feedback. So I'm looking for. I have a concept of something I want to do. I'm just not sure if it's going to be like an illustrated book. If I might do. Don't know. I guess I could even do some kind of potentially animated thing, but I'm trying to find the right medium for it. So I would say those two things. I really want to focus a little bit more, get myself on track and time management a little better, and then focus on one big personal project.
That'd be amazing. And this is like one of the dilemmas that I'm in, and feel free to chime in on this, but for as much as social media is driving me crazy, it's almost necessary for everything that we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, we're literally an online distribution thing, and it's kind of the main source of access and communication. So I'm definitely in like kind of a love-hate thing with it right now, and I've talked about ditching and leaving several times, and I've only done it on a few. I pretty much got rid of Twitter. I think I still have an account, but I don't have the app, and I haven't checked it in long. So, Facebook has kind of been annoying me. And honestly, this latest news is more just like the straw on the camel's back, right? I've been kind of thinking about it, and my problem there is that I don't get enough in return from it for all the negatives.
Right.
And when I look back on, because I have had I have got freelance gigs from my online postings and from social media, but when I really count them up and I look at where they came from, very few of them came from Facebook. And the amount of negatives on Facebook just for me extremely outweigh. I mean, obviously everything that's in the news with the data security and just kind of how much they know about your personal life and whatnot is a little concerning to me. But beyond that, I had this kind of like weird epiphany like a month or two ago that I realized every time I open Facebook and I scroll through, like I just get angry or like upset. Like there's always there's so much negative posting, negative things happening. It's either, and it's not that you don't need to know about some things that are going on in the world, but it's either, some news story, political thing, the climate's dying, animals being abused, or like some kid got shot, here's another shooting, or, news aside, it's just people's postings, right? It's just like, they're just bitching and complaining about literally everything. People want to be offended about everything. They want to complain about everything. They want to start a political debate about everything. And it's just like every time I opened the app, I just was like, I don't know what I'm gaining from this. I almost never do my own posts anymore. And the few times that I have contributed to like a commentary, I like immediately regret it. I'm like, man, what did I do that for? And I'm not gaining anything out of this. So, and Facebook's one of those ones that I feel like is I don't know if it's the algorithm. I don't know if it's the demographic of the people that are using it, a combination or some other factor. But I find that Facebook seems to be the slowest moving of all the platforms in terms of gaining connections, of real momentum. It's incredibly slow growing for like, followers and likes and communication. And all those factors combined, I'm kind of like, I don't see a point to this anymore.
Yeah. I get it. There was a time where I would go in and I would try to, there's people sharing garbage information and stuff, and I would go through and I'm like, hey, like, let's talk about this, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of the conversation, I'd be frustrated and wanting to send them to hell and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, that wasn't worth it. And I just wasted so much time doing that when I could very easily be, doing literally anything else that was actually constructive. And so I deleted the Facebook app from my phone. And I'll check it every day, but I refuse to get into like all the debates that are happening. It's just not worth it. I've never, for as many discussions and even arguments I've gotten myself into on Facebook, I've never, ever, ever had anyone say, you know what? I see your point. No one.
You've changed my mind.
You are correct, sir. Let's see. Pros Comics said, I'm trying to stick with Instagram for a full year. I think May will be that milestone, but it's getting a little disheartening. I guess improving is probably a better goal. Yeah. Yeah. Instagram will probably, if I had to pick the last one to give up, Instagram would be the last one I give up. I've actually gotten work from Instagram,
Yeah.
zero work from Facebook, zero from anything like that. Actually, no, I guess YouTube would be considered YouTube is considered a social media
Yeah.
site. So
It
YouTube
is.
would be my last one, but Instagram would definitely be there towards the last parts too, because I just like it. I like seeing other people's drawings. I use it for almost yeah, no, not almost. I use it exactly as a alternate to Pinterest.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, Instagram, that was pros. I'm trying to stick with Instagram, but it's getting a little disheartening. I guess improving is probably a better goal. Yeah. And then Landon said, get any job in animation. I have a storyboard portfolio done, 4 to 5 good storyboard projects, but I haven't thought about it much yet. That's actually a really good thing. Landon, I would say, and I don't know, I know that every once in a while we get to catch up, but with you, I think just going out and networking a little bit or a little more would be really good for you. For Steve,
Yeah,
goal
we're working on
table
that
at con in April, online shop.
one. Ah.
Do you want to chime in on Landon before we move on?
Regarding the animation gig.
Yeah.
Oh, I just, we meet up every once in a while and we chat about it.
Yeah.
We're working on that one. I think it's a possibility. It's doable. We just
Nice.
got to keep at it.
Nice. Yeah, that's basically it. And now that we're talking about,
right city. You're in the right city. You're connected to a lot of the right folks.
yeah,
It's just kind of a matter of sticking with it and keeping at it.
yep, improving and networking. Steve, goal, table at con in April, online shop. Those are two very good ones.
Nice.
Which con is it? Is it the one up here?
What's the intent in the con? Just to further yourself? Are you looking to sell a bunch of stuff? Are you trying to meet people? Like, what's the specific con with a specific purpose, or just a personal goal?
We'll give him a couple minutes or a couple seconds.
John says, I drew more this year, especially during Inktober, but I'd like to draw more. And like Jack said, it's more focus. Get more art gigs and long-term gigs. It's always a good one. The long-term one is tough in the art business.
Steve said Cartoon Art Museum release my
nice.
first personal comic. Hell yeah, dude. And again, that reminds me of everything that I continue to say. It's there's never been a better time to be an artist and to get eyeballs on your stuff. You know, and that's one of the big reasons why we continue to do these fun prompts and we do these shows and everything, is because for as much as we have accomplished, I've always been the kind of person that also likes to kind of teach and show and bring along and expose others who might not necessarily be in the right location or have the right connections or whatever. I always like to connect people. What was it? Luis Diaz, who was on the show, we've been friends since art school. He said, "You're a connector. You excel at putting pieces in the right place." And I was like, cool. I'm glad I'm glad you said that because I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's an important skill in of itself, and a lot of people. I mean, that's a real job too. You could be a professional connector.
Yeah. I have fun doing that. I don't know if I'd want to do it full time. I don't know what the hell. I don't even know what the hell that would look like, but
Well, you know, like talent management or headhunter type of thing, or
yeah,
HR, I guess. But
yeah, I did it as a career service advisor, and it was fine, but
that's true.
Not. It was. I think that was more. The how you say the product. Something is blinging all crazy, but I think it was more the product that I was trying to sell wasn't the consistency of the product, I guess, is a better way of saying it. The consistency of the product wasn't always easy. Like if I know someone is a badass, it's easy for me to be like, okay, let's go do this. But that wasn't always the case when we're at school. Isn't that an agent? Yeah, I guess. I guess it is. Yeah, I like creating stuff way too much to be babysitting people.
Obsessive. Right.
I like doing like this show is almost perfect for me. Like we go out and we meet people and we connect, and then we go and we talk about stuff, and you know, I like what we have going on. So for me, the like, you know, going back to my New Year's resolutions is basically how do we improve what we're doing? How do we I guess grow the brand or make it easier to get people to come on the show?
Or you expand on the idea that's here and make adjustments to the show and
right, exactly. And it's been fun. It's a lot of work. So if you're out there thinking, I'm going to go start a podcast and it's going to be great, I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, we talked a little bit about that on last show about expectations and what people have set in their mind of what they want to be or do, and versus the reality of what that actually takes. And
yeah,
I think that's really important to keep in mind when trying to set goals, or
right, being realistic, because one thing that I have learned is this stuff is way easier if you have, like, social media can be kind of cliquish. So you have like a certain person is well known for said thing, and another person is well known for this other thing. And then they might, for example, they might start a podcast, and you try to watch that podcast, and it's like, it's brutal. And I'm not trying to hate on anyone, but you know, like the conversations are a little hard to get through, like being the interviewer and the interviewee. It can get a little hard. And folks, you can tell that they're struggling to get through. And that happens to us too sometimes. But there's some folks that still have, 100,000 followers or whatever, and their stuff is kind of like, I mean, you can tell that they focus on their art. um and again, I hate to sound like I'm hating on people's stuff, but and I'm definitely not trying to do that. I'm just trying to give you guys a realization that it's a lot of work, and looking at it as this would be a cool thing to do because it's going to be benefit me in whatever way. No, not necessarily. My Donald Trump doesn't really, face-wise, doesn't really look like Donald Trump, but oh well.
Right. Little caricatures are tough. I actually haven't done one in a while, and I'm pleased with how this is turning out, actually, because I normally, it's just not something I do. I don't really, I don't know if I'm not interested in drawing other, like, real people's faces, or I don't know. It just never crosses my mind as like a thing to do.
Yeah, I was thinking about, I looked up and I saw, hey, Shiloh's here. Hey, Shiloh.
There he is.
Pro said, LOL taco bowls. I was going to put some nachos in his hands, but it's crazy seeing the same 20 or so art accounts on everybody's follow list on Instagram. Yeah, that's true. And I mean,
yeah, I mean that's somewhat inevitable. There's
right.
super popular ones that are going to do really well,
and that's because those guys are magnificent artists, and I don't blame people for following them, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be a really good interviewer either. And I think that's the point that I was trying to make earlier. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and if you're not naturally gifted small talk person, then it's even harder.
yeah, I mean that part of it is kind of a skill in and of itself, of filling the dead space and keeping conversations kind of naturally moving along, even when they seem to not want to.
Yeah. Steve, I think I'm going to say no. So Steve is saying, would you ever add artist alfresco videos to Sketch Zone channel since it's drawing related? No. It's almost like the way that I'm looking at it is almost like ESPN versus, HBO versus AMC, right? Everyone has it's just a different channel. So Sketch Zone might be like, I don't know, let's just say ESPN and Sports Center, whereas Artist Alfresco would be like History Channel or National Geographic. So just a little bit different, but under the same family. So like if Jack decided to come out with a channel for, daily mobsters.
Artist al dente.
We would figure out a way to like help those channels feed themselves, and yeah, and then so it'd be kind of like a family of content. Yeah. Yeah, Pro said for sure. I'll follow all of them. You the man. Yeah, and eventually, like Jack and I talk about this all the time. Like, where are we going? What are we doing with this? Like, he's working on a lot of stuff, and I'm working on a lot of stuff, and eventually, like, where are we going with this? How can we help each other out? Type of thing, and that's what's great about having Jack as a friend. Um, and and the same goes for um, all the Midway stuff too, because Midway is completely different, but somewhat related. Uh, but we use Midway to feed into Sketch Zone, and the same way we use Sketch Zone to like bring attention to Midway. And now it's Artists Al Fresco's turn, and Jack has his avenue to talk about all the projects that he's working on, like the Pirates ABCs, and the have you talked about anything more than that, or am I like
No,
sharing way too much?
no. It's just the other two things are so like in development phase that
Okay.
it's almost not even worth talking about. That it's just, I mean,
Okay.
I talked a little bit about it on the Animated Journey podcast, and just they're like kind of in the pitching phase. So it's not that it's top secret. I mean, um, obviously the concepts somewhat are just purely because they're in pitching phase. But
Right.
no, I mean that's basically the crux of it, is that I also co-run this content company that we've got several IPs that we're currently pitching around and trying to get picked up. The main one we're focusing on, which we're more or less self-producing and not self-funding. We're looking for investors, but self-producing, self-managing, is the Pirates one. But the other two are more going down more the traditional route, pitching to linear networks and the streaming services, and
Cool.
trying to get funding kind of the more traditional way.
Nice. And eventually,
And
when that stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that eventually we'll be able to talk to you guys about, and actually get you guys some exposure to that life. Once all this stuff starts to get picked up and things start happening, we'll be able to share with you guys. And you guys will be able to go back and like follow the path. Okay, so apparently Trump eats pizza crust first, backwards. So maybe I will go with that. Many gifts on the internet. Do yourself a favor, Landon, and take a look at when what's her name? I believe she was the governor of Alaska.
Sarah Palin.
Yeah, Sarah Palin went to New York, and Trump took her to a pizza joint, and John, he was on the Daily Show. John
Oliver or Jon Stewart?
Stewart. Jon Stewart lost his mind because he took her to a real crappy pizza place. Jon Stewart lost his mind. It was magnificent television.
He was just trying to say it was like the best one or something.
They ate with forks. Yeah, they did. He lost. So first Trump took Sarah Palin to just like a very lazy pizza place. Like it was just like they probably went from wherever his office is, they went to the street and like crossed the street. He didn't even take her to like a really good New York pizza place. He took her to some place. So he lost his mind. And then when he saw them eating pizza with a fork, man, he went nuts, and it was priceless television. He got in on his his Italian, New York Italian persona, and he slams down a slice of pizza, and he's like, "How you think you gotta eat pizza like that? Oh my god!" And he just went nuts. It was absolutely wonderful television.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if anyone else has they with the forks. Yeah, that was good TV. I'm trying to get more lumps in here. Yeah, let me ask you guys this: if you guys had any questions about anything creative, whether it's photography, video making, music, any of that stuff, what would you guys want to see as far as content goes? More produced content.
Just in general, or you mean like from you and from Sketch Zone?
Not necessarily Sketch Zone, because Sketch Zone is its own beast now. All right, pros. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for doing the fun prompt. Well, everybody, I got an early morning, so I have to check out. Thanks for the entertainment, guys. Yeah, he killed that fun prompt. No, as far as like more produced. I'm trying to. I have a list of not necessarily vlog, because I'm not those guys that are like, I'm just gonna jump out and have like all kinds of wacky stuff and look at me on my skateboard. Like that's them, and that's cool. I watch them do that stuff. But that's not me, so I'm not even gonna pretend to want to get on a skateboard.
Oh, come on now.
I mean, I know I've gotten on snorkeling and stuff like that, and I'm going to be doing like some ski shows and stuff like that, but I'm trying to figure out like I have a long list of like 20 things that I want to do, like a 5-minute, whether it's a tutorial or explain something, software tips, whatever. I just want to see if there's anything that anyone wants to see or do. And I think eventually I want to come and hang out with you and do some things together down there too.
Anytime.
And I want to actually, for Artists Al Fresco, I want to go and visit Shiloh and visit Dave.
Ooh, an Australia trip.
And go get crazy with those guys.
That could be interesting.
That would be fun.
Shiloh and Dave, you don't know what you're getting into.
Yeah, I figure. Oh, look. Pros Heavy Comics is following Coconut Justice on Instagram.
See, your what do you call it? Pandering worked.
My begging. But yeah, you know what's funny about, not funny, but what's cool about the artist al fresco thing is there's so many people that they're like, holy cow, this is awesome. And it's just really cool. It's really cool to see an idea go from, just kicking something around, not sure if this is going to work. And the same thing with Sketch Zone, really.
That's
'Cause
true.
we weren't sure, like, what you guys, we don't really talk about this much, but Jack and I were going to do a show. We've briefly talked about it in the past. It was called, it was going to be Carjack, and is basically Sketch Zone, but it was going to be a little bit different. And then, Sketch Zone turns out to be the thing. So we weren't 100% sure that this was going to work out, but it's cool. Like, here we are 4 years later and we're still doing it, and it's amazing and I love it. So it's just really cool to when things do work out. Okay.
What's your guys' biggest challenge? So we talked about like looking forward for next year, but like, did anybody struggle this year with stuff? Like, what was the stumbling block, and like, what did you learn from it? Hopefully, or even if you didn't learn anything from it yet,
right.
What was the sticking point this year? Because I think every year, we've got something different going on, and there's a new set of challenges. And I mean, I sort of talked about mine. I don't want to say overbooked. That's not really the right word. But it was certainly a matter of taking on a lot of stuff and then kind of trying to figure out how to balance it, and not even just in the sense of not even in the sense of like time management, like, oh, how am I going to fit this in there? I mean, that's kind of just an ongoing challenge with, I think, anybody that's doing more than one thing. So it's a day job and it has a couple of side gigs and whatever. But it was really more, where is this all headed and how is it all working together? Like, I kind of felt like I had so many things going on that it felt overwhelming and a little, like I said, unfocused. And so I think going forward, that's what I want to do. But it was kind of a throw everything on the wall and see what sticks. And well, I saw some stuff that stuck, obviously, so I'm gonna follow that. But more than that, I think it's also, like you said, gearing kind of all your things towards a unified goal, and kind of seeing how it all works together in like a holistic sense. So that would be, I guess, my stumbling block is having things be a little too all over the place and not centralized.
And I think that's something that we as artists need to be careful with. One of my ideas for a show video was a critique show. Artists submit their stuff and artists critique it. Maybe just critique one image and segment for show. Huh. Yeah, that sounds cool. Reach out. I'm sure we can figure something out. I'm never going to do it though, so if you guys do it, that would be cool. Well, don't say never, because we'll force you into it. Steve said time/side hustle, day job 1 this year, and that happens. Steve, that happens, but just as long as you move a little bit closer to your dreams every day or every year, just remember, it's just keep the ball moving, and eventually, again, same thing here. Like here we are, 166 episodes in, and even Artist al Fresco, to keep jumping on that one. That was just an idea, Landon, that I didn't give up on, Landon. And now it's and now it's actually like a really cool thing. And hopefully, like, there's some things that are kind of happening in the background of that too. So hopefully I'll be able to have something happen there, but definitely let you guys know. But yeah, just as long as Steve, just as long as, like, if you're talking about working on your own comic and stuff like that, just as long as you work on your comic, even if it's just a little bit each day,
yeah,
eventually it'll make sense.
It's a lot of it's just about consistency and about, like I said, about chatting about Landon is just like kind of sticking with it. I was having this conversation with someone who is like a concert level pianist and is like really, really good and been teaching it her whole life. And I had mentioned that, hey, I've been trying to learn piano, and when I say learn, I mean I've been trying to just pluck out notes my whole life and claiming I'm going to learn, right, with no actual serious attempt at it. And and she reminded me, she's like, as I said, oh, I got an app, and she just was like scoffed, and she's like, are you for real? You're going to try and learn from an app? Which, in my defense, I think so far this is the longest I've stuck with it. Like it really helps me just visualize the timing, and it can hear the notes, and it like corrects you, and and it plays like pop songs. It's not like old stuff that I am not super familiar with or don't really ever want to play. So I mean, obviously it doesn't compare to a teacher, but I think it's good, at least in terms of the just daily, the daily grind
exposure
of it,
to it, yeah,
exposure to it, and just sitting down and doing it. Because the one thing she did say, and it's nothing new. I've heard it a billion times, and I've said it a billion times, but I think she said that a lot of people forget how long it actually takes to learn and be good at something.
Right.
A lot of people get to an age in their life and someone says, I've always wanted to learn piano. I've always wanted to learn to paint. I've always wanted to whatever. And then someone says, well, why don't you? And then it's kind of like, nah, I'm too old, right? It's like, I don't learn I always wanted to learn a new language. It's like, oh, well, I can't learn that anymore because I'm old and we learn slower. And it's kind of like, well, that might be somewhat true, but a lot of it is just even remember when you were younger, like how long it actually took you to learn to do anything.
Right.
I mean, you're in school for 20 some years of your life, and for those of us that are good at drawing or sculpting or piano or whatever it may be, it's like, how many years did you put into that to get there? So, the one thing she kind of said is, rather than set these super unrealistic expectations and goals, again, it goes back to expectations, rather than saying, I want to learn to play piano, and say something so vague like that, and like, what does that mean, and by when, and like, what's the expectation there? She's like, if you think about, say something like, playing Christmas carols with the family and singing along is what you want to do and is really important. And most of those are fairly simple, and you can learn those, those are some of the first things you learn. Mm-hmm. You can set a goal and say, in 2 years, I will be playing these songs with my family and sing around whatever. And then you can look forward and say, and in 5 years, I can be playing, Chopin. And then in 10 years, I can play whatever I want just off the top of my head. It's like, if you view it in that sort of realistic timeline, it's a lot easier to put into perspective, and to actually, even though it's a far distance away, it's a lot easier to make it attainable mentally, because you kind of view yourself at a certain point. And yeah, it's a lot of work to get there. And I kind of started thinking about that, extrapolating on that beyond the whole piano thing, but just like in terms of like drawing and, doing comic books. And I worked with this guy at Digital Domain that was just kind of slowly cranking away at a comic book, and he would just do like half a page here, and then there'd be a couple months where didn't do it, and then he'd come back and he'd do a couple drawings here, and then there'd be some weeks where he'd do 2 or 3 pages. And it's like if you look at it on that macro level, I was confused those two, and that macro level, and it's kind of like you look at his daily progress or his daily routine, and you're like, man, he's so slow. He doesn't really ever accomplish anything. But this dude had, no joke, like 8 or 9 comic books done. And yeah, he's been working on it for 8 or 9 years.
Yeah.
But he just kind of slowly trucks away at it, and he gets one done, and then he moves on and he does another one. And it's like, if you kind of remove that pressure of achieving an end goal immediately, and just kind of, it's an interesting thing.
It's always I always go to that old saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Right.
If you look at the entire elephant, you're gonna be like, oh my God, that's just a lot of work. I don't have that much space in my stomach, la la la. Whereas if you just keep the ball rolling, keep moving, eventually you're gonna have all kinds of artwork built up. And even just on Instagram, just if you continue to do a daily drawing thing or a weekly drawing thing like fun prompts, if you look at it, at the end of the year, you're going to have close to 52 drawings that you just did. Musician.
Yeah, it's not musician, but I've heard that one is decent. It's actually called Simply Piano. It's very simple and straightforward, and it's just like a little move. It's like Guitar Hero. It's like a moving little bar that, like, you got to hit the notes when it asks you for them.
Oh, nice.
It hears them, and it can correct you if you hit the wrong one.
That's pretty cool.
The way it does it is pretty nice. It starts obviously with the basics, and there's like warm-up routines, and it's like, man, I remember typing class back in high school, and like the guy would just walk around the room and you would just hit the same key again. He'd just be like, A space, A space. Like, no joke, that's what he would do for like an hour. And we used to make fun of him so hard, but it's like, that's what it is. I mean, half of this stuff is memory muscle, and like, muscle memory, and like, just repetition and getting in the groove of it, and just, the whole idea of like artist or writer's block is kind of more of just falling out of a routine. You can break through that pretty easily if you establish a routine and you get used to things, and you stop struggling with. And again, back to the thing we were talking about earlier, not viewing an instant result. Like, that's one of the quotes I always hear about people who have writer's block. It's because they're focused on writing a final draft rather than a first draft. You get overwhelmed with the details in a final great product, and it's really more about the process and relying on your muscle memory and your instincts.
And that's true when you're drawing, because if you're drawing, there's a lot of times where that first draft, and one of the people to see actually do this, and it's pretty amazing. And I know that he probably blushes every week, but when Shiloh releases some of the drawings that he does, it's incredible, because he's constantly, it's almost like he unplugs his brain and he's just throwing down shapes to figure out what it is that he wants to focus on. And then once he has something that he likes, he moves on with it. and he'll have like different characters and different scenes, and like full on drawing like a crazy person. It's just really cool to see that someone at that level doesn't necessarily just throw down absolute magic at first.
Yeah, I mean everybody's different. I mean, we chatted about Peter Hahn and how he just would like throw down final lines, and like that's
He's just
but I mean the same principle applies. That's what he's taught himself to do. That's what he's comfortable with. Those are his habits. He knows what a final line looks like. He thinks in that way, whereas some people work better with blocking it out and doing shapes, and they really want to grasp an idea of overall composition and thinking about big picture first and working back. His is more detail oriented, and it's just it's kind of more of a matter of habit and what he's sort of trained himself to do. But yeah, I mean it's really fun to watch folks like Shiloh, or I mean, I do it at work all the time, like the storyboard artists, their first passes, they do their thumbnails where you got to set up some 200 to 250 shots, right? If it's a two-man show per episode. So I mean, that's a lot of compositions to get through. Obviously you're going to reuse them. So fine, say you're going to do 150 customized setups. That's a lot of drawings, right? So in order to work through that and how things are laid out and where characters are placed, where to put the camera, what's a pleasing composition, like there's so many things to think about. It's like they blast through these thumbnails and just do little weird doodles of like silly shapes that just sort of start to conjure the concept of an image rather than the final image, Yeah. And it's not even worth your time starting on a final pretty drawing, because you're also dealing with a second, a third and fourth dimension of time and editing and all that other stuff. And you got to make sure it's going to work first before you can move on to the next step and start finalizing.
That's something that I deal with when I'm doing the Midway radio show, because there's a lot of times. So I continue to make little exercises for myself, and one of them is I draw. And sorry if I'm changing up my drawing real quick. But I gave myself the exercise of drawing the special guest every week and doing a caricature of them. And it's tough. There's sometimes where like my brain and my hand just refuse to get on the same page, and it's and it's hard. But it's cool because I was able to. I'm getting better at that. I'm getting better at, and I guess I probably got that from, talking to Steven Silver this year, where he talked about, doing, what you call it? And he was doing caricatures at the theme park, and, he was using that to do, to get better at art and to make a little bit of money on the side, and so I use that kind of as motivation or as an example of bringing a little bit of my art to all of the projects that I'm working on. And it turns out to be one of the things that people look forward to actually, some of the guys that that try to schedule people for the show. They've gotten guests because they say, "Oh, is Carlos going to draw a picture of me when I come on?" They're like, "Yeah, he does that for everyone." Yeah, okay, cool, I'll do it. And so not only do I get the exercise of drawing someone in an hour or less, but they get a drawing, midway benefits, and everyone is happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to like combine the talents and make a dual purpose out of any situation. And that's kind of, again, going back to what we were talking about earlier, seeing how everything ties together and how it all feeds forward into a similar unified goal. Shall we share some inspirations?
Sure. Have we been talking for wow. It's been a couple hours. Wow.
Yeah, when you just zone out drawing and just chit-chatting at
there. Mine looks a little bit more like Knucklehead.
Knucklehead.
Even though I have to. Here, let me do this first, and then we can get into artist inspiration. Da 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 da. And then I will be finishing this up and posting this because I think I like it a lot. Okay, let's just do like that. Boom. All right, moving on. Okay. I'm going to save this, and then I'm going to pull up some artist inspiraciones. Let's see if I can. This one's a good one. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a good one. Okay, so now this is the Sketch Zone account, so it's not going to show that we're following or that I'm following, but I am. Under Coconut Justice, I am. So anyway, so I like this guy because his gesture drawings are so solid.
Oh yeah.
And his name is Joshua Black, or Josh Hunter Black. So yeah, so his gestures are super tight, and they make me jealous. And then he'll throw this in just to show you that he crushes. Something is going. I think, is that me or you? Something, a little bell keeps going off.
Is it still going?
Yeah.
I don't hear it on my end.
No. Okay. Here, I'll do it again. Okay. Yeah, so then he'll throw in this rendering that looks phenomenal. And then he'll go back to, and these are the little things like, we're talking to Steve and, well, basically everyone in the chat room. We're talking about little things that you can continue to do. You don't necessarily have to, create 2 and 3 comics that day for it to make a little bit of a difference. But it's stuff like this that you can do. And no one has to see it. Like, if I showed you guys my Procreate app and all of the nonsense that I have in there, all it is me trying to figure out shapes and what goes where and how does it move here, and these are the things that you can do. Like, this muscle study is phenomenal. And it just, the more of these you do,
Yep.
the faster you will realize where those lines go. And again, it's just like playing the guitar, just like playing the piano. The more you do it, the faster, like especially a guitar, the faster you know where your fingers go. The piano, you know what to look for as far as the keys go. You know how to spread your fingers when you're going to play that chord. Same thing. And then look at this. Like,
Nice.
these are some of the things that I tried to do, like when I was traveling into San Francisco on the ferry. Super loose, but then you throw in a little bit of color and it just kicks it up a notch.
Yeah.
Here's some shapes and some cylinders just to show you how to put those lines down, different body types. So if for no other reason than just the education that you get from his feed, it's Instagram.com/JoshHunterBlack.
Yeah, it's these folks that have really learned like how to simplify stuff and really learned the core of it and the gesture of it that you can learn a lot from. You can figure out how they have already done the legwork and figured out how things work in this very simple manner. And I mean, these are sometimes the best things to learn from.
And I mean, things like this, like
demystified a lot of
things like this, like they're just standing there, but they're not really just standing there. And that's what makes your pose believable versus stiff. Just something as simple as this guy in the middle. His guy and my little goofy Trump looking guy is kind of the same stance. His is a little more natural, but all you do is you shift that body weight over just a little bit, and it helps sell the believability of that character. Let's see what else. There's a William Dafoe picture. Look at this. It's far from super finished, but that's a lot more fun to see than something that's completely done. At least for me, it is. Like, I love how loose this is.
Yeah.
And then he just busts out like this. Like, this is super real renderings.
Really, really cool.
This guy here.
That's awesome.
To be able to turn it off and on like that, that's just crazy. And then he'll just throw that in just to keep you
like hardcore rendering.
Yeah, just to keep you in check. So yeah, check him out. Instagram.com/JoshHunterBlack.
Nice.
Boom. There you go.
All right. Let's share this screen. And okay, so talk about side hustle. This guy's a story artist at Disney, but he also happens to be an amazing wood whittler. And talk about sticking with it and being prolific. The amount of stuff this guy has carved, and then the cool part is he casts it and makes duplicates. So I'll get to that. But he did a little cool wrap party gift for his story crew. I assume he made print multiples of this to give away to the folks on Wreck-It Ralph. But so he makes a lot of these animal ones, which is actually what I wanted to show. And he talk about figuring out how to simplify and figuring out core shapes. Like there's a lot to be learned from this, even if you're not into the stylized look. Even if you're more like a realistic guy, there's a lot to be learned from the shortcuts and what he's figured out about structure and silhouette and like all of that stylization, because there's like this common misconception that it's like to simplify something is to be lazy and like make it more efficient and easier to draw, which is part of it. Yeah. But to actually figure it out and reduce something to its like most simple form can be kind of really difficult to do it successfully. I mean, if you think about the whole like minimalism movement and, you know, the whole early days of iPhone, and I mean, just there's folks like Mary Blair and Ivan Girl and stuff who's like mastered this stuff. So he does these animals that just blow me away, like the shapes he's figured out.
Wow.
And to know that this is like a physical thing carved out of wood is just so cool to me.
It's very amazing.
And then so he takes these original woods and then he also shows his process, which I love. This is beyond me. I've never really figured out how these guys look at a flat block of wood and just like X-ray vision Superman style see right through it. And then they're like, yeah. Oh, this is where I got to cut. And I'm like, I look at this and I'm like, what the hell is that? You know, I have no idea what that's going to become. And this guy is like, oh yeah. And then I'm going to turn it into this Utah rock and it's going to be perfect, you know? So see, look, he's got like a whole bunch of these things made. And I don't know if he like casts them out of resin or
that's so cool.
Maybe he's 3D printing them. I don't know, but he hand paints them clearly, and then he sells them. So check out his store as well. But I mean, look at these, just like dozens and dozens of these bicycles.
It's playing music, so we can't hear you if you're talking.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
this guy's got like a crazy, I mean, talk about crazy. He's got a full-time job at the major studio, Disney, and yet he's like churning this stuff out like it's a factory. I mean, this literally looks like a factory to me. It's just like, what is like that? Yeah, so they look to be like resin casts.
Yeah.
I mean, these are just so cool, the shapes that he's figured out.
Wow.
And then he goes and does these cool like photographic sessions where he like
he just puts them out in nature.
Yeah, and he's like selling them for the marketing and whatnot. But he does these really cool, not just the animals. I don't want to play the sound on this because but he does these cool caricatures too. He does like little people, and there's just a nice sense. And then if you go way far back, you can see some of his drawing, which you can see where the stylizing comes from, but you can see the rough in progress. So yeah, check him out. He's Jeremy Sears. He's a story artist at Disney,
and he's got a whittle wood shop.
Yeah, whittlewoodshop.com. You can buy these. I can't call them prints. These casts. And I think
so far I'm looking through everything in his store. Everything is sold out.
Yeah, which is crazy because if you look at this, there's like 400 of them there.
Yeah,
And I don't know how much. How much is it? Does it say how much he charges for one of them?
That bison is $105.
Man, and look at how many there are. He made like thousands of dollars off that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how long it takes him to make it and how much it costs to produce, but
the hippos are 165. But yeah.
So yeah, check that dude out. I like that one.
Yeah, I do too. That's pretty neat. Cool. Let's go ahead and land this bad boy. Thanks again, Landon, John, Anu. Sword Sister is here. Hello. Landon, I think I said Landon, but Pros Comics, Steve, Shiloh, and a bunch of other folks were on here tonight. Thank you guys for being part of the last of Anu. I think, I don't know if I said Anu or not, but thank you guys for being a part of the show. This is the last one for the year. We will be back early January. It's just, you know, with Christmas and New Year's and everything, things get hectic here for at least both of us, and obviously Charlie, because he wasn't able to make it tonight, but yeah, Jack, if people are looking for you online, where can they find you?
Well, currently sketchbookjack.com, and I will say sketchbookjack in other places, but who knows? Some of those may be disappearing. We may centralize to one place. Sketchbookjack on Instagram is a good place. That's one of my most active. So
yeah. And I'm Carlos. You can find me at coconutjustice.com and Coconut Justice pretty much everywhere else. And if you can do me a favor, go to artistalfresco.com and that'll bounce you to my YouTube channel with the new project that I'm doing. Please subscribe there. Speaking of subscribing, if you're watching here, feel free to hit the, oh no, it's down there. Hit the subscribe button down there on YouTube. And if you go to sketch.zone, there we go. That's what I was trying to say. Go to sketch.zone. We have links to everywhere else. We have links to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And if you're on Instagram, the fun prompt for the week is a lumpy politician smiling. So what you do is draw a lumpy politician smiling and post it to Instagram and tag us. Actually go through the process of tagging us so we don't get lost in the shuffle. And we'll share it. And every week that we have a show, the beginning of the show, what we like to do is take a look at what everyone else is drawing. So that's what we're here for. We're here to show off you guys' work. But yeah, like I said, we're on Twitter, Instagram, tag us, lumpy politician smiling. And if you can watch us live, we'd love to have you guys participate in the show. And if not, you can just catch us on Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play Music, and iTunes. So, oh, sweet. I have 2 weeks. Landon, stop being lazy, dude.
your one from last week.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone have a good holiday season. Have a wonderful new year. We'll probably be checking in on Instagram Live and stuff like that. So follow us, and we'll
probably do a fun prompt next Thursday.
Yeah. And yeah, like we said, subscribe, and artistalfresco.com. Subscribe over there. And hey, Pat Mast, what's going on, man? Long time no see, buddy. So yeah, we're winding down, but YouTube has our back, has recorded everything. All right, guys. Everyone have a wonderful holiday season. Like I said, Happy New Year. And yes, happy Kwanzaa as well. Have a wonderful couple of weeks. We'll see you guys in the new year. Later.